Hello, everybody. Simon Dixon here. I am coming in live from the Satoshi Roundtable again. Like always, when I go live on Twitter, I'm just holding up my phone and speaking to you. So beware of the shaky camera and stuff. I know I get a mountain of comments normally when I don't do these professionally, but I'd rather release the content in a convenient way when I'm on my tour at the moment. And I am in a moment of gratitude on a Sunday at the Satoshi Roundtable, and it's a real honor to always come to this every year because you get to meet everybody in crypto, all the builders, all the people that have been here throughout the last 2 years of bear market, and all the people that have been there in the real early days that are still active in the space. And it's a real inspiring time to actually meet and catch up with people that are building the future of finance. And so what I wanted to do today is share with you a story I may not have shared before about why Bank to the Future doesn't have an A in its name, which we often get asked questions about. And it's a symbolic story now because in 2020, our goal is to actually change that. And so over the last decade at Bank to the Future, I have extreme gratitude that we've been the fortunate enough position to actually be involved in many of the most amazing companies in crypto. We've done over 100 different funding rounds and become equity holders in 8 different unicorns that are building, that have gone on to make such an impact in bringing Bitcoin and crypto adoption to the world. We've also had investors that have invested almost $850 million into funding rounds listed on our platform, which is a huge honor. I've got such a gratitude to each and every one of our investors that has contributed to the future of finance and really bringing us to this position where Bitcoin has become so politically significant to so many different countries and so significant to so many people across the world. And that is only right at the beginning. So it's such an exciting thing to have been involved with, and we have eternal gratitude to all of our investors. Just this year alone, the Bank to the Future token is up approximately 40% on the year. And Bitcoin is looking like it's reached, can't take this as financial advice. Anything can happen in crypto, and anything does happen in crypto. So expect the crazy. But Bitcoin looks like it's really on a turning path after this 2-year bear market, and still coming out some of the highest performing, asset classes in the world, because it provides genuine utility, giving the world the ability to own their own money, spend their own money, and having a fixed money supply that's based upon sound monetary principles really is a game-changing thing that's going to impact more and more people in the world. And then we've got just this amazing explosion that came out of the bear market in the decentralized finance space, taking every single financial product in the world and this amazing community at Ethereum of thousands of developers globally collaborating on rebuilding every single financial services and every single financial product. And after a painful scaling debate, the same starting to happen in Bitcoin. Got to meet many of the people that are building both layer 1, layer 2 solutions to bring this to, scalable to the world and bring different types of financial products that can now be built. That was really pioneered by the Ethereum community. And they're doing some amazing work there to just really take every single financial product and give people that don't necessarily have banks the ability and access to all of these different types of lending products, collateralized loan products, and all sorts of stuff. So just a massive gratitude to the entire community that's helped us to get to this stage and get to where we are today. And we've got big plans for 2020 and beyond. So we've been a decade in the crypto securities business now. And the next decade, I think, is going to be even more exciting than the last decade. The last decade was really about proving that this financial technology, this innovation, this movement of an alternative monetary system can have an impact in many different people's lives. What I never forecasted right in the beginning is that pretty much everybody in the world has now heard of Bitcoin. They may have a different perception of Bitcoin. They may think it's a Ponzi scheme, a scam, a currency just for drug dealers. But that creates an opportunity for people that know that that's not the case to actually benefit from the price discrepancy as the world starts to discover that it has genuine utility. It provides opportunities for people that never existed before outside of the traditional financial system. And as the traditional financial system gets worse and worse and worse, as governments prop up stock markets to new all-time highs based upon cheap money to, essentially the richest people in the world and the richest organizations and institutions in the world, as we start to see the effects of that, it's going to be, it's going to be such an essential piece of infrastructure for the future. And just really grateful for all these amazing people in this open source project that can contribute to really bringing this technology and financial technology. I hate the word revolution. At Bank to the Future, we get a million pitches. We get thousands of applications over the years from companies that all think their technology is revolutionizing the world, and revolutionizing becomes a real cliche. But I think that word is truly appropriate for Bitcoin and for this movement as a whole. And I think that it's really exciting to just see that. So anyway, a bit of a tangent. We've got some big plans for Bank to the Future in 2020, and one of those is a story that I'd like to share with you today. So as the Bank to the Future token community starts to take shape, we're having increases in volume as a result of the increases in utility as we launch more products into the ecosystem, and it becomes more interesting to more and more people as this industry grows. We're also going to be launching our security token play, the launch of BFX, our decentralized yet compliant security token exchange, to bring more opportunities and more liquidity to investors. And the other plan that we've got is our big 2020 goal is to really, I don't know if any of you have been following me since way back in 2010, but one of the original pitches for Bank to the Future when we were right in its infancy, and the reason we had the A in our name is because we wanted to build an investment bank, essentially a new age investment bank, but it actually started with the vision to create a non-fractional reserve bank. For those of you that know me and have read my book, Bank to the Future, you know that before the Bitcoin community, I was involved in something called the monetary reform community. And the monetary reform community was a very small movement of people that were interested in how you can remove fractional reserve banking from decoupling from our monetary system, how the sustainable, outcome can be achieved if you remove the Ponzi scheme around fiat money, where essentially governments have outsourced the ability to create money to the private banking sector, and it's all backed by debt, and therefore you end up in a Ponzi scheme like we are at today, where you have more debt than money, and therefore statistically impossible to actually pay off the debts. And the only thing you can do is create financial innovation to rehypothecate consumers to take on more debt, businesses to take on more debt, governments to take on more debt. And if that doesn't work, you get to very, more financial engineering like quantitative easing, and next blockchain-based central bank digital currencies to bail out banks is my forecast. And unfortunately, this blockchain technology can also be used to create some really horrific scenarios in traditional fiat money. But fortunately, we have the alternatives with Bitcoin and this movement that's happening outside of the financial system. But originally, our goal at Bank to the Future was to build a non-fractional reserve bank. Bliss Dixon and myself, it was a mission we were really passionate about, that we wanted to bring to the world. And I remember we recruited the first a lady called Fiona Brownsaw, and she actually worked on getting a license and building the technology infrastructure for the first bank to ever get clearing access in 100 years in the UK, called Metro Bank. It was a US bank that wanted to expand to the US, and the Bank of England had not issued a clearing banking license. This was before the concept of a challenger bank and all the innovation and fintech that we see today. And we sat down with the regulators and were told that, firstly, you can't have the word bank in your name until you have secured the banking license. That was the first thing. And the second thing that they said is that you're going to need $16 million in just dead capital that's going to sit at the Bank of England on reserve. The next thing they said is that that money will then also be used for rehypothecation. So therefore, it's actually impossible to build a non-fractional reserve bank. The other thing they said is that you're going to need 30 million for the infrastructure and technology play. Imagine how much that has changed today. 30 million for infrastructure. And then the final thing they said that really demotivated us was that you're all going to have to step down as CEO and you're going to hire a board that's actually built a bank before and that has experience of actually doing that. And that was really demotivating for us. So we set about really focusing on something different. We pivoted to securities, and we were looking for a market in order to fund all the companies that were going to build the future of finance. We set about changing the laws in the UK in order to allow for online investing to prevail. And a couple of years later, that was picked up by President Obama to build the Jobs Act, which changed 80 years of securities laws in the US. So what amazing chain of events, really. You know, sometimes the world just guides you. I don't know your spiritual beliefs, but I personally believe that some of our hardest decisions are actually some of the most amazing decisions. And if you look back in life often, you find out that things that seemed really hard and challenging at the time were actually setting you on a new path in life that, my personal belief, and again, you don't have to subscribe to this, but as long as you treat people, I follow the principle of karma, as long as you put out in the world what you want to receive back in the world, then the world and the universe tends to guide you to something that is more bigger than your original vision. And I think after 10 years, and as long as you're patient enough and persistent enough and continually push and push and push towards that goal that you're looking to achieve, sometimes it can come back around. And so that's where we are now. We had to pivot to securities laws. In order to try and build the bank, we had to look outside of the technological infrastructure that cost 30 million. That led me to, my Bliss Dixon and myself attending the very first Bitcoin conference in Prague in 2011, which introduced us to this amazing Bitcoin community. And it was really a solution to a problem we were experiencing at the time. That set across a chain of events that completely, changed the path and focus of what we want to do. But now, fast forward a decade later, all of the things that have happened at BankToTheFuture and everything we've been involved with, the crypto community, Bitcoin community, everything that's happened, that are really events that I believe are going to be, covered in economics textbooks in the future. Whoever writes the pivotal history of crypto as this industry goes on to shape everything that happens around the world in the financial sense, is really going to be an amazing story. We've seen some crazy things over the years. We've seen Ponzi schemes, we've seen scams, we've seen horrific hacks, we've seen awful things, but we've also seen some of the most amazing things. And it really is truly one of the most exciting times to be alive in financial history. And yet very few people actually know that today. How often do you get an opportunity to understand and be a part of something before the masses have actually seen that? Traditionally, that only ever happens in Silicon Valley. And now this opportunity, thanks to financial technology and platforms like BankToTheFuture, we're able to share that with more and more people that don't have access to the Silicon Valley contacts. The reason I spent time in Palo Alto and Silicon Valley over the last few weeks was to really bring those opportunities to give those to our investors. Some of them go bust, some things go wrong. Some of them are really, really, don't have the desired outcome. Some of them pivot, and 8 of them have gone on to become unicorns. So it's just a game of diversification in theory around that every single financial product is about to be disrupted one step at a time. And the future of finance looks very different from the past. And we've been working on bringing it to people over the last 10 years. And now we have this amazing opportunity in 2020 and beyond, because we've been working on certain acquisitions, expanding our team to actually really do some amazing things that we set out to achieve in the original vision of BankToTheFuture. And so my 2020 goal is to get the A back in BankToTheFuture. We still have the logo. We still like to dust that off and bring that back out. And the way to achieve that is actually to secure a special type of investment banking license. And in the weeks ahead and in the months ahead, if you're following Bank of the Future, we'll be sharing with you our goals and our vision of how we're actually trying to achieve that. If you think of some of our amazing portfolio companies like, essentially Coinbase has become a crypto retail bank. At Bank to the Future, we want to build a crypto investment bank, and we think the time is right to actually do that. The regulatory innovation and global appetite to look at our industry has really shifted over the years. And we think we're perfectly positioned to now go back to that original goal. We're not going to create a non-fractional reserve bank, but we're going to do something fairly different, which is build a crypto investment bank. And at some stage, we have a great team now working on the applications that we need in order to put the A back in our name, come full circle, and really prepare not just for the previous decades in crypto and innovation, but for the next decades in crypto innovation. So this video was really about me sharing with you the tremendous excitement in our industry, the fact that it looks like we're in a turning market, and really, as our industry grows, as our wealth increases as a result of being involved in this huge financial experiment before the masses, I think we have a duty to the universe to give back and to actually, really see and help in your unique way how we can actually make a difference to bringing crypto to the masses and prepare more and more people for the really horrible things that can come ahead in traditional finance, as we have these systemically correlated financial system where one systemic risk event can tear down the entire financial system, as we saw in 2007, 2008. Whether you believe that's going to happen or whether you don't believe that's going to happen, I think it's important for more and more people to have a plan B. I really liked a campaign that I saw on a train when I was in Miami, where it had the Bitcoin symbol and it said, "It's time for plan B," with the Bitcoin symbol being B. And I think this is incredibly symbolic and incredibly, only in America do you get such incredibly amazing marketing campaigns. But I really think it is for Plan B, and we need more and more people to be prepared for Plan B. And our goal and our contribution to the community is actually to give that crypto investment bank that we can use to usher in a wave of financial innovation as this industry grows. And we'll continue to be doing exactly what we have been doing over the last decade, building crypto securities for crypto investors, and then adding and growing the size of the ecosystem. Thanks to our amazing investor community of 85,000 qualifying investors that have registered at Bank to the Future, $850 million invested in funding rounds listed on our platform, over 100 clients that have created 8 unicorns. And we look to scale that and give back more to the community in 2020 and beyond. So I'm now going to start this Sunday at Satoshi Roundtable. And again, complete gratitude for everybody that's been a part of that. And yes, we do things wrong. Yes, you might have some complaints about some of the things we've done over the time, but please, I hope this video helps you understand that our intentions are to always bring forward this mission. And we have been here for a decade and we plan to be here for another decade doing just that. So thank you for your time. Over and out.